Sun, won't you come and wash away the rain? Like cold sun, won't you come?
Hi everyone, it's me again, and look, 2 videos in one night when I haven't successfully done that the rest of the semester. So this one's on Diving into the Wreck by Adrienne Rich. So my first impression and my first thought was, upon reading this poem, was about just about like the picture that going into the water is. Okay, so we get this very visceral impression of her slowly, step by step, rung by rung, submerging herself into the sea, the endless, the bottomless depths of the sea, and all of the things that she's finding under there. And she's using language like, my flippers cripple me, I crawl like an insect down the ladder, and there's no one to tell me when the ocean will begin. The sea is another story. The sea is not a question of power. I have to learn alone to turn my body without force in the deep element. You know, things like she has to learn how to turn her body, how to go best with the waves. And then she's talking about in the next section, I came to explore the wreck, the words are purposes, the words are maps. I came to see the damage that was done and the treasures that prevail. So on the surface, you get that this is very much so talking about diving into a wreck. If you've seen any of those old documentaries, you know, that we're going to go find treasure, we're going to go do exploring, and normally those things are thought of as positive things, or we're thinking of them as adventures, fun things. But the language that she uses in this kind of contradicts that idea. Some of the ways that she phrases things is very dark. Let's start out with the first stanzas. First, having read the book of myths and loaded the camera and checked the edge of the knife blade, I put on the body armor of black rubber, the absurd flippers, the grave, and the awkward mask. I'm having to do this not like Cousteau with his assiduous team aboard the sun-flooded schooner, but here alone. Just the phrasing, if you look at that, the grave and awkward mask, I would agree with the awkward part, but would you necessarily associate the word grave with the face mask that you used to go diving with? I mean, it's there to stop you from drowning. There is a ladder. The ladder is always there, hanging innocently close to the side of the schooner. We know what it is for. We who have used it. Otherwise, it's a piece of maritime floss, some sundry equipment. Again, really thinking about the ladder, you know, the ladder is always there for you if you need it. But the phrase, we know what it is for, we who have used it, that sort of implies that there's more of a double meaning there, and I'm kind of curious as to what you guys think what that's leaning towards, especially when I talk about other stuff later on. I go down rung after rung, and still the oxygen immerses me, the blue light, the clear atoms of our human air. I go down, my flippers cripple me, I crawl like an insect down the ladder, and there is no one to tell me where the ocean will begin. So there's no one there with her. So we get this feeling of isolation. There's no one to tell her when the ocean begins and when the boat stops. When is she supposed to dive into the ocean, and what point is she submerged? First the air is blue, and then it is bluer, and then green, and then black. I am blacking out, and yet my mask is powerful. It pumps my blood with power. The sea is another story. The sea is not a question of power. I have to learn alone to turn my body without force in the deep element. Again, we're talking about sea, equating it with power, but it's not a question of power, so we know that it's powerful. And she, again, I have to learn alone. Again, she's illustrating the fact that she's by herself. And now it is easy to forget what I came for among so many who have always lived here, swaying their crinoline fans between the reefs, and besides, you breathe differently down here. So it's really easy to forget with all the commotion around you, what exactly you went there for. I came to explore the wreck, The words are purposes, the words are maps. I came to see the damage that was done and the treasures that prevail. I stroke the beam of my lamp slowly along the flank of something more permanent than fish or weed. The thing I came here for, the wreck, and not the story of the wreck, the thing itself and not the myth. The drowned face always staring toward the sun, the evidence of damage worn by salt and sway. Into this threadbare beauty, the ribs of the disaster curving their assertion among the tentative haunters. Again, very powerful language. This is the place, and I am here, the mermaid whose dark hair streams black, the merman in his armored body. We circle silently above the wreck. We dive into the hold. I am he, I am she, I am he. Okay, so we get this duality, men and women, the merman, the mermaid, collectively speaking, is what that says to me. Whose drowned face sleeps with open eyes, whose breasts still bear the stress, whose silver, copper, vermeil cargo lies obscurely inside barrels, half-wedged and left to rot. We are the half-destroyed instruments that once held to a course, the water-eaten log, the fouled compass. We are, I am, you are, by cowardice or courage, the one who find our way back to the scene, carrying a knife, a camera, a book of myths in which our names do not appear. Okay, so with my last 2 minutes to keep it about the same length as my other video, this seems like a fairly straightforward poem about diving, but it's not. 1973 was when the Vietnam War officially ended. It's when we pulled our troops out of Vietnam. So that sort of gives you a new basis you're thinking of. I don't know if any of you guys have ever seen it, and I will add it on to the end of this video. It's the picture of the Napalm Girl. And that is one of the more famous images from the Vietnam War, just because it illustrates how the terror these people felt. And you gotta remember that in this time, 1973 was the year the Vietnam War ended, for us anyway, but these people are still having to live with the devastation. We talked about this with World War II and all that, and some of these phrases, you read back over them and you go, oh, okay. So maybe in this case, the deep waters are more of the politics surrounding it, the way that the people are being treated. The wreckage, of course, is the wreckage that is left behind. And I'm really interested to hear what you guys think about this, but that's sort of my impression on it. If you can see some of the very visceral images behind the Vietnam War. It's not a war that we really talk about very much in American history, or if we do, it's sort of glossed over because it was a failure. This was the first time that America has failed. Well, really, viscerally failed against somebody in a war. We were coming off the high of World War II and we thought we could do anything, which is why we tackled this. And we don't think about the wreckage left behind. The mermaid, the merman, all of us, a book of myths, the myths that surround Vietnam, the myths that surround politics, things like that. So tell me what you guys think.
Won't you come and watch